Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and welcome back to Kennewick, Washington. This is where we left off. It's been a couple weeks, hasn't it? It's been a couple weeks since we were on the ATS side. We've been spending some time on the ETS side. We are still in our 579, but we now have a Caterpillar 3408, and I will start that up. Let's start it up right now. We'll do it once from the outside so you can hear it. And then again on the inside. And these sound packs are by Robinicus. Well, they're engine packs. They're more than sound packs. They're engine packs. They're by a modder named Robinicus. And they are amazing. I think FMod has... I think there's more going on in the sound now than there was before. It's not like they just added surround sound to it or added Doppler. I feel like the layering and the amount of content in the sounds that come with an engine pack, I feel like there's just more going on there. So really, really pleased with what I'm finding so far. And this Robinicus cat, I assume it's a cat, could be a lady, who knows. But Robinicus, I saw the initial engine packs that I saw for ATS were by Robinicus. When ETS dropped 1.37, it took, I don't know, a day or so, and there were Robinicus engine packs for 1.37 on the ETS side. We'll just wait here. I was away from ATS, and when I came back, I saw there were like a dozen more. So there's Detroit Diesel, Cummins, Caterpillar that we have running right now. So yeah, just a ton going on. I'm really, really impressed with the FMod implementation by SCS and what it's done for the game. You don't really notice it, I guess, until you notice it. It has made such a difference, and it's really got me thinking about sound in racing sims. You know, there are some race sims that have a really good sound, and other race sims that, by comparison, not quite so good, you know? And it's not that it's bad, it's just not as good. And so, in a relative sense, it is kind of bad. But it does make a huge difference. You know, the only thing we really get in these games, we don't have the tactile feel, we can't feel the vibration, we can't feel the G-forces and that sort of thing. You can't get smells. Smells are really important to humans. And something like the smell of race fuel or the smell of hot tires. You know, if you've been at a track on race day, you know that those smells are part of the experience. I know that sounds a little weird to say. Smells? Yeah, man. The smell of a racetrack. It's a big part of it. We don't get that in a sim. It comes down to what we see and what we hear. Graphics are so demanding in terms of requiring horsepower from your PC, from your console. That's a little bit trickier because you can't just throw everything at that problem. And you can, but then you need a supercomputer to solve it. But sound is one of those things where it doesn't take a ton of power to render sound. It's not like graphics. I think it just takes a ton of skill and an interest from a developer, from a modder, in making that sound as good as it can be. So Race Room, on the racing side, Race Room has unbelievable sound. Assetto Corsa Competizione has amazing sound. Even Project Cars 2, more game than a sim, but really, really good sound. And now hearing it in Truck Sim, you can sort of realize what we've been missing and what a difference it makes. So, good on SCS. And we do have the windows down. It'll get quieter when we're out on the highway. Right through here. Beautiful. What else is going on? It's been, I don't know, I feel like everybody's schedule is sort of disrupted because of the thing that we don't speak of. But it's messed a lot of things up. It's messed a lot of things up over and above the true human cost, and I never want to minimize that. But for a lot of people who are not impacted by coronavirus directly, in terms of, again, that terrible, tragic loss that people are going through, for those of us that are not near that, it is still affecting us economically. So I think it's just trickling down, and it's impacting the entire world, including things like, once again, this pales in comparison, but even something like gaming and game development. And I cannot stress that enough. I'm not equating the two and saying that the inconvenience that we may be feeling or the difficulties that a game developer may be going through in any way compares to true human loss. But it is a factor. It is a fact. So if things are disrupted, we'll just get through it. And the way that things are dropping right now and some of the scheduling and other things, I don't know how much of that is being impacted by what's going on or how much of it is just kind of a slow season after that big surge in February when everybody dropped the stuff they didn't drop for Christmas. But we'll see. We'll see. And what do we got? We got Idaho and Colorado. We know about that. We've got Iberia. We don't know what the second DLC is on the ATS side. But we're sort of in a holding pattern there. That's cool. And what else? Next big drop that I know of is MotoGP 20. And that's on April 23rd. So a couple weeks from now. And other than that, everything is, like I said, sort of static. I've been playing a lot of Dirt Rally 2.0. I think the Colin McRae pack really kind of got me fired up to play that game again. And what else? Yeah, Set a Course Competition. I've spent a lot of time in Race Room. And in fact, I wanted to talk about, is it Studio 3? God, there's like Studio 597, I think, makes R Factor. And Studio 3 makes Race Room. I don't want to get it wrong. But whoever makes Race Room, man, what a cool concept that is. And yeah, let's get loaded up. We'll talk about Race Room because I realized, I try to not be negative in these videos. Try to always keep it on that positive tip. But we also, we got to speak the truth. And there are facts and other things that happen in gaming, things that we need to talk about. And sometimes they're not always positive, right? So we go to Cargo Market and we're taking, where is it? We're taking dry milk up to Colville. And then from here, I think we can start working our way back down anywhere along this western side of Idaho or the southern side of Idaho. And this takes us into, we can get into Utah again. We didn't spend a ton of time in Utah when that DLC dropped. I feel like we got to every city. Is that it right there? Yep, I think it is. We got to every city. And once we had ticked all the boxes, we didn't really spend a lot of time there. So nothing wrong with going back and spending some time in Utah. All right, let's get hooked up here. Hooked up, loaded up. I am hearing a little distortion. I don't know if you're picking up on that. I'm hearing a little distortion, and I don't know if that is... I don't know if it's coming through to you and it's something that's in the sound pack, in the engine pack, or if it's something that is unique to my headset or my sound card or how this is all rendering on my system. But... pulling in this way. Okay. But I am hearing that. And it could be that is strictly a volume thing, and we won't hear it once we put the windows up. All right, how about here, third person? And I feel like, yeah, this little area over here. Man, I appreciate SCS. I appreciate what they do as far as laying out these depots. And this is all base game. So there's no mod yards or anything. This is all strictly SCS, and just the way that they place things, like this rolling crane here, just the care that they take to make these pickups and drop-offs extra challenging. I do appreciate that. And I think, can't really tell. We're gonna clear this thing. Oh, just barely, as long as we don't jackknife. We gotta throw it over the other way. You know what? Let's just straighten it out now. Let's just straighten it out now, because I know we're gonna have to. 3 swings to get into any stall. That's my motto. That's how we do it here. Right. Let's get this one more time. And where are we at? It's noon. Okay, and we don't have too far to go. A couple 100 miles, so we'll be there before dark. I noticed that all my favorite Xenon headlight mods have not patched up to 1.37. I'm not sure why, because I don't think there was... I don't think there were a lot of graphical changes from 1.36 to 1.37, but I do appreciate modders that I think you can set up a mod so that it works in any V, any patch. And you can do just the opposite and set it up so that the mod has to be sort of, I don't know, reset by the modder. And in a way that's a little bit irritating because, come on, man, get to it. Fix this mod so I can use it in this new patch. But at the same time, we have to appreciate that because what that does is it allows the modder to confirm that it does still work. Whereas a mod that you just sort of release once and then not ignore it, but you know what I mean? One and done. It may work, it may not work well, it may not work at all. But if you set it up so that when the game switches from 1.36 to 1.37 in this case, your mod gets the red exclamation point and stops working, gives you the opportunity as a modder to go through it line by line and confirm that it does still work in the new patch. So we'll have our xenon lights again soon enough. I do like those. I feel like, particularly in the 579, they make sense. In the 389, maybe not quite as much. But in this new, I don't know, next gen truck, is it? I don't know, these have been out for a while, but you know what I mean. All right, so we're gonna put this window up. We got no traffic back there. Beautiful. So let's I don't know, I wouldn't say get the negative out of the way, but let's establish some parameters for what it is we're talking about. You know, I play that Tarkov, and you know I'm very frustrated by that Tarkov. And the persistent rumor is that the team developing this game wants it to be, like, for the most hardcore of the hardcore. And there are some rumors that the developers have said they don't care if people buy the game and then quit. And because it's really multiplayer only. I mean, you can play it in single player, but the game is intended to be played as a multiplayer game. It's intended to be played on a hosted server, hosted by the developer. That's a good business model. And I'm trying to think how I want to, like, step through this minefield. That's a good business model from the point of view of profit. And I guess it's analogous to health clubs, particularly in America, gyms, right? Gyms in the United States typically have facilities and parking for about 15% of their members. And I don't mean at any given time, I mean total. People that run health clubs and gyms in the United States know customers join up and then they don't go. And it's a little different now. It's mostly, most clubs have gone to, you pay per month. If you don't pay, your card doesn't work anymore. But there's none of these goofy contracts that they used to have, 2 years, 5 years. You can't get out of it. It costs you hundreds of dollars to buy your way out of your contract. They insist on auto pay. If you've belonged to a gym, if you've gone to a gym in the United States in the past 10 years, you know what I'm talking about. They moved away from that. But why would they set it up that way? Well, because they know you're not going to go. And if they make it month to month, people go for a couple months and then they quit. If they get you locked into a 2 or 3 year contract, it's fantastic. They're getting paid every month and you don't go. And that makes you, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. That makes you the best kind of customer. You're not on the property. You're not in the facility. You don't require any staff. You're not putting any wear and tear on the equipment. You're not driving in the parking lot. Little things like that. Cars in and out of a parking lot over the months, over the years, they wear that parking lot out and it needs to be repaved. No joke. So a customer that pays every month and does not use the facilities, that's a perfect customer from a business perspective. Now, me and you as consumers, we might see it a little differently. And that's pretty goddamn cynical, you got to admit. But business is in the business of making money. And if that's how you can make money, right? If you can have a business where customers pay you and then you never have to do anything for them, that's a pretty good business model. So something like Tarkov, I mean, a gym, whether you go or not, that's really up to you as a citizen, as a consumer, right? And while health club owners may know at least in the United States, that people don't really go to gyms. They say they do, they want to, they pay for the membership, but then they don't go. But that's not on you as the gym owner. If you make a video game that is intended to drive people away, that is on you. But again, that's kind of a good business model, because people pay for the game up front, but then they don't put any wear and tear on your servers, right? They don't put any load on your servers. They don't complain. They don't ask for refunds, right? You see what I'm saying? They just give you their money, they play the game for a few weeks, they get sick of it, and then they leave. So I would definitely file that under the category of moral hazard. And in particular, what strikes me about that is you don't really need to take care of the game. You don't really need to worry about making people happy long term, because they're gone, right? And in a way, it works to your benefit if you don't make them happy because you want them gone. Now, I'm not saying 100% that I know that's what's going on with Battlestate and Tarkov, but it does hang together. It does fit, right? That's our background. That's what we're talking about today. So Race Room, I saw just patched up the other day. And Race Room, this is an unbelievable model. The game itself is free. Now, it doesn't come with a lot of content, but you can just download the game and play it, right? Get a feel for it, and it's full-featured. And full-featured, when I say full-featured, I mean it's got all the features of the game. It just doesn't have all the content of the game. But as far as the length of the races or setting up the AI or whatever, it's all there. It's not like you can race for 15 minutes and then it cuts you off. You can do whatever you can do in the full game. Well, it is the full game. It's not. There's no line between the two. There's no paywall. What you do pay for is content, and that's sort of the model that I'm going to have a sip of my coffee here. My voice is just about to go. That's sort of the model that iRacing uses. I almost said Race Room. That's sort of the model that iRacing uses. iRacing does have a monthly or yearly subscription, but I think the difference is that Race Room does have a single-player mode, whereas iRacing is only multiplayer. Although they are bringing in AI, I don't think that's ever going to be a big chunk of their fan base. But I guess what I'm saying is, on the iRacing side, if you're using the service, you are putting wear and tear on their servers. You are putting load on their servers, and so they do charge a monthly subscription, or yearly if you want to pay it yearly. And that's totally cool. Makes perfect sense to me. But on the Race Room side, you don't have to buy anything. And if you do want to buy something, you only have to buy the content that you want. So I told some folks that I talked to on Discord, get these Group 4 and Group 5 cars. They're a riot. They're so much fun to drive. Well, if that's what you're into, that's all you have to get. And you can buy tracks that Group 4 and Group 5 cars raced on. And that's it. So, I mean, I think now I own every piece of content for Race Room. Don't tell my girlfriend. But you don't have to do that. If there's one car that you want, you can just get that one car. Now, the whole game loads. It comes in at like 5 gig. It's not like if you go out into an AI race, it's going to be all identical liveries. The whole game is loaded. You can do multi-class racing and see all those cars and all those liveries, and you're just in the car that you bought for whatever, a couple bucks. That's a very cool model. That is very consumer friendly. That's the sort of business model that gets you a ton of loyalty, even if you just made the game and then walked away from it. But they haven't, right? The game's been out since 2013, 2016. Well, it's been out for a minute. And they are continuing to release new content for it, new paid content. You don't have to buy it, but they're continuing to tune and tweak and improve the game. So they just made sound improvements. They made physics improvements, BOP stuff, bug fixes. And you contrast that to a company like Dovetail that seems to be committing all the resources to cranking out new DLC, new paid DLC, when there are known bugs in DLC that they've already released. And their position is, we'll fix it at some point, but maybe not, right? And I think, again, I'm seeing this from a consumer perspective, and I think, how can you in good conscience have your staff working on new DLC when your old DLC have bugs that need fixing? And the answer is, we want to make money. Well, that's cool. Like I said, there's there's a tension between consumers and business. There always has been. And we do have the option as consumers to vote with our wallet to not buy that DLC. As long as everything is above board, that model works. It's when business or developers become a little bit less transparent. When I look at a company like Race Room, I think that they're as transparent as can be. I see that they're working on the game. I see that they're patching the game, continuing to improve it. I see that they have a free-to-play model, and then you buy the content that you want. That's all right out there in the open. So that works. For me as a consumer, that really, really works. And something like Dovetail, it's a little bit more opaque. I don't know what they're doing. And I don't know I don't know what the end game is. I don't know if they're going to release X amount of DLC, get the game sort of filled out content-wise, and then fix everything. I doubt it. Oh. We are really not wanting to stop, sir. Oh, that was a little scary, I have to say. So I don't know, and I know we do have that option. I talk about this. We do have that option to just not buy anything, and that would certainly make a statement. But I don't want to say this. Politics is always right around the corner. It's like when you're talking about anything, politics is right around the corner. You got to be so careful. So I'm not advocating any type of collectivism. I don't mean it like that. But you not buying a product doesn't really do anything unless nobody else buys it either. And that's when you get into I'm talking about a gamers union. We're not going down that road. We're not going down that road in real life. We're not going down that road in this conversation. But you know what I mean. It's if I decide not to buy any more Train Sim World DLC, Dovetail doesn't care. It's only when 40% of their customer base stops buying it that they take notice. And even then, maybe not. And I feel like I'm caught between two worlds here, because on the one side, I am in business development and marketing communication. And if I had a client that said, here's our business model, we have developed a product that we want people to buy and then never use and never contact us again. Well, that's a little rough on the conscience, but I got bills to pay. Do I want to be a part of that? Do I want to pay my bills? I mean, is that morally wrong? It's not illegal. Is it morally wrong? Yeah, close, hard to say. But as long as they're not lying to people, as long as it's transparent, I think I would take that client on. That's a tough choice, because then on the other side of it, like I said, as a consumer, when that sort of thing comes my way, that can be a little, that can be a little rough. Now, I will say, in fairness, not just to game developers, but to sort of all business and all industry, we are really moving away from those long, onerous contracts that were a part of being a consumer for so long. I know a lot of big phone companies are now moving in the direction of PCM and Boost Mobile. What they were doing years ago, where you pay your bill. If you don't pay your bill, your phone turns off. Well, that was unthinkable with Verizon. Verizon was all about that 2-year contract. Walk into Verizon to pay your bill, and hey, that's going to push your contract out 2 years. Everything push your contract out 2 years. We're moving away from that, and I think it is giving us more options and more power, for lack of a better word, as consumers. That we can, if you don't like your service with Verizon, you can just tell them, hey, I'm not going to pay my bill this month. Go ahead and port my number over to whoever. And that's the end of it. And that's forcing, hopefully forcing business to take us a little bit more seriously. But how we would do that with gaming, I don't know. I was joking earlier about a gamers union. We don't need a union. We can all just be sort of consumers together. But if enough people get sick of it, I think that will cause a change. How that will happen, if that will ever happen, who knows? I feel like something, Tarkov, there's no other game like it. There truly is not. I've got about 300 hours into it now, and there's nothing else like it. And Train Sim World, there may be 3 or 4 what I would think of as top tier. Might not be the right word, but the train simulators that are attempting to be an actual train simulator. It's like Flight Sim. You know, there's FSX, there's X-Plane, DCS. You know, there's a pretty steep drop-off, I guess, is what I'm getting at, from the top shelf when it comes to that type of gaming, that type of simulation. It drops off, and so there is an opportunity for a developer to not necessarily take advantage of people, but to have that leverage, to have that negotiating power, and say, well, you know, if you want to play a train sim, it's really all there is. Take it or leave it, knowing that we might get dinged. Oh yeah, we got dinged. I knew that was going to happen, but we had to get through that light. Not necessarily because we had too much. Not that we were carrying too much speed, but you know. We can't be sitting at red lights all episode. What the hell was I talking about? What was I complaining about? Developers. So I think, you know, when you have a very niche game, or a very unique game, or a game where people cannot get their fix anywhere else, you can sort of hold that over them. You know that they're going to buy it. So we'll see. I wanted to talk about Race Room, and I'm saying Studio 3. I'm probably wrong about that, but I'm going with Studio 3. But I did want to mention them, and SCS as well. And as 2 companies that really seem to go kind of above and beyond, and that we as consumers need to appreciate that. And I do. I think, I buy any SCS DLC for ATS or ETS. I buy it 1 minute after 1 o'clock. The day that it's released, I buy it. If I can't pre-buy it, I buy it the day that it's released. And that's a way that I can show my support to SCS, you know, buying every piece of content for Race Room. There are plenty of cars that it's not that I don't drive them. I have literally never driven them. I bought them and I never drove them. Some of them I got in packs, and I didn't specifically buy them, but I do own all of the content for Race Room, and that means I've given the developers a couple $100. You know, is that worth it? Is that overpriced for a race sim? Yeah, probably. You know, considering Assetto Corsa Competizione, which in fairness has a lot less content, but it's a fantastic sim. I think I paid like $29 for it, pre-ordered, early access, and then I bought 1 DLC for it for like $15. 20% of what I've spent on Race Room. You know, is it 20% of the game? No, it's probably, I'd say, equal to it. Again, a lot less content, but in terms of what you get, you know, the quality of the physics, the quality of the AI, because I play single player, that's important to me. Day-night cycle, rain, fantastic tire modeling, good damage model. You know, is Assetto Corsa Competizione? Yeah, it's worth a lot more than 20% of Race Room. And I guess what I'm saying is they're both great games, but I'm willing to give the Race Room developers a lot more money because they take care of me as a consumer. And I would be willing to do the same thing for... I'd be willing to do the same thing for Dovetail if they were taking care of me, and instead it's sort of the opposite. They just sort of... I don't want to say they're taking advantage of me, but you know what I mean. You know what it's like with Train Sim World. There's just a ton of DLC. It is interesting. Some of it's not as good as others. Let's get this slowed down here. But it's, I don't know. It's not quite hoarding. I don't know what to call it. We're all mod hunters. We're DLC hunters. You know, out there. Fine. Hunting and gathering. Making our pile of firewood. You know how it goes. All right, well, this worked out. We're at 29 minutes, so that is a good thing. We'll get this backed in, and we'll call it. And yeah, I'm really enjoying ETS and ATS. I'm not spending enough time in them because I got 2 farms going right now, plus racing and Tarkov. But yeah, it's a fantastic sim. to swing a little bit wide here so we clear the post. This is where we're supposed to go, right? It is. Oh, and we get this one. All right. So let's find a good gear here. Turn signal off. Pull the rest of the way in here. Make sure we clear back there. Third person. It's not so bad. If we were staying in cab, it would be pretty bad indeed, because it is on the sort of on the blind side. All right. Oh, you know what? I think I may have just screwed that up. Maybe not though. Maybe not. We're gonna have to jackknife it pretty hard. But maybe not. Maybe we can do this. All right. Let's see how we do. And we do have, I have to say, quite a bit of distance back there to kind of straighten it out. Maybe. As long as we don't hit that box. Maybe one swing. Throw it away at the end. Oh, it always works out that way. All right, so we'll just straighten it out. Stuff it straight back in there. Call it. All right. Concentrating. Feeling like it's really wanting to kind of flip-flop around. Not sure why that is. All right. Back to neutral. Set the brake. Engine off. Let's see how we did. On time. I was concerned. About 10 grand. Yep. 480 XP. There you have it, folks. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. We'll see you next time. Take care now.